kind of make as many adjustments?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be, league-wide. Probably see it tonight in the Hall of Fame game. Probably going to be a lot more returns. 5 yards does do a difference right there for the defense. So, in terms of our strategy, that's the beauty of training camp. You get to work all aspects of special teams, especially our kickoff cover units. We've done a couple of drills to kind of get back in the swing of things. So I think there'll be definitely an uptick in both the kickoff coverage and the kickoff return.
Michael, what led to the change in long snapper? What led to the change in long snapper this offseason?
I think that's just how the NFL works. Sometimes, you get blessed with a guy that you could be around for so many years, but it's just an ever-evolving league, ever-evolving roster. Rick, one of the lore of Rick, he's one of the few athletes that had 2 Super Bowls with one team here in Philadelphia, and respect everything he did. Very happy to have Charlie. Charlie's no slouch either. Multiple Pro Bowls in Cleveland, big body guy. But again, that's just the nature of the beast in the NFL. Is the roster's always turning over, and new adventures with new players. So very excited for Charlie to be on our team.
Michael, what have you seen from Annias in the return game?
Yeah, I think Annias has done a really good job of just improving his feet, his hands. He's put in the work. You could definitely tell in the off season wherever he was training at in OTAs to now. Him just being more confident, kind of just calm, cool, collected back there, which has been great. So we're excited, to see maybe a little live action as we move forward with him catching and see what he can do, because he was a pretty explosive returner at Texas A&M.
Seems like we haven't seen Avery with the punt returner group as much. What's the reason for that?
Avery is also known as a very good personal protector on punt. He's coming now to a different set of language, new system. So, and I've seen Avery catch punts for the past 4 years in the NFL. I know he could do it. But at him get, comfortable calling protections in the punt pro. Now, you'll probably see him out here today. It's a punt return emphasis day that he'll be doing his normal catching.
Vic wanting to keep Cooper on the field on defense as much as possible. How does that affect how much you might use him on special teams?
Yeah, I mean, everything's always evolving. The communication between myself, Vic, KP, Nick, Howie has been fluid and everything's been great. So, he'll catch a couple in practice right here just to make sure, just knock the rust off. But, when push comes to shove, we're going to put the best 11 out there.
Well, you've spoken before about, wanting guys who play major roles on your unit to sort of win jobs with the defense or the offense. I guess, what's it been like watching guys like Keeley and Sidney compete for starting jobs in the defense?
Yeah, I always tell them when they, as rookies, the first thing I tell them is I'd love to see you guys go out and start an offense and defense. Now, if you start with me on special teams, awesome. But it's great to see them. Competition usually breeds greatness. So to see out there, Sidney out there competing, Keeley out there competing. But that's the beauty of this whole roster. Everybody competes, whether it's, A.J. Brown as a wide receiver down to Darius Cooper, an undrafted guy. Everybody competes on this team. So for me, outside looking in, it's awesome to see these guys compete. But it's also awesome to see them in the meeting room. They're still taking notes like they're out there playing on special teams as the majority of their play. So it's really cool to see that.
Seeing you work with Terrace Marshall out there, not a lot of special teams experience for him in his career. What have you seen from him and his willingness there?
Oh, I love that he's kind of taken on that role of just wanting to learn special teams and, get in there. And, it's awesome to see guys that may have not played special teams in their career want to play special teams. And that makes my job real easy to get these guys out there. And he's done a fantastic job. He's a bigger wide receiver. We've got a couple of those, the Johnny Wilsons of the world, big wide receivers that, could block, do other things for us. So, the more you can do in the NFL, regardless of what position you play, the better you're going to have at making a team. But it's been awesome to have all these guys out there competing.
A.J. Dillon liking quick returns to running inside zone. What do you like about having a running back there, specifically Dillon back there?
Yeah, I guess I'd pose the question to you guys. Would you guys want to try to tackle a guy that's 240 pounds running straight downhill at you? But again, he has the ball in his hands a lot of the time. Ball security is imperative, especially on kickoff return. We saw what Will and Kenny did last year for us on kickoff return, getting downhill, which helped us out a lot in the later part of the year when the weather changes and the ball doesn't travel. So having AJ back there, big body guy, trying to make a one-on-one tackle with him in the open field as he's going downhill, probably a little bit tougher than usual, but all these guys are competing, from AJ to Will to Avery. It's a good group of kickoff return guys to, one, bounce ideas off each other, then, going through all these drills so they feel comfortable with all these new type of kickoffs. And that's great to have Jake because he can do some stuff of that nature.
Mike, drill the other day where you were wearing the pads on your chest, why do you want to be the one to do that?
a little sense of being a masochist. I like to feel a little bit. But also, you know, when you ask these guys, you want them to do some sort of technique. For me personally, as a coach, you know, if I'm not out there, how are they supposed to really get what we're trying to get to the coach? So me being able to feel a pop, hey, I didn't feel you that much. You got to really strike me right. Then I tell them, hey, hit me like I'm a player. I'll be all right. I got to pat it. I'll be just fine. But it also gets that more one-on-one in-depth coaching. Like, hey, you could get this hand outside on a pad to get off a block, or you could strike a little bit better. Or, you know, I think Jihad almost got me on the ground over there. Like, you could feel the power from these players. I'm like, all right, this guy has something that I could use, whether it's punt return, or just seeing them out in offense and defense.
Taylor Moore, undrafted guy, was a good punt returner in college. What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, you know, I think he's very cerebral in terms of where the ball is going. He's gotten better of just calming his feet. You know, there's some things with his footwork where if he didn't catch it square, you're not going to be able to go left or right. I think he's done a good job of getting square to the ball, where now he can make that first and second guy miss either right or left. He has really good hands in terms of just fielding the ball. So excited both about him. You know, Giles back there, Annias. You've seen Jahan back there. You know, those guys have been really doing a good job. I don't think they've put a ball on the ground yet. So we're going to try and keep that going. And I think it's just the added competition as well. Like, you don't want to be the first guy to put the ball on the ground. So they're doing a really good job, and Braden helps them out by giving them a whole plethora of different kicks.
What were your thoughts on changing?
Philosophy, kick returner, punt returner, that you want to split it, or could one person do both jobs eventually?
Yeah, I think that's a skill. You know, I think it's almost a lost art in the college football ranks of having the dual returners. You know, the Darren Sproles of back then, where they could catch punts and do kickoff returns. But if you have a guy that can do both, it's an added luxury. But we're also going to put the best 11 out there where you feel the most comfortable, where you could have a big play going forward. So, again, it's just feeling it out. You know, it's still July. You know, the more times we're able to see them put the catch the ball, whether it's kick or punt return, the better we'll have a better picture down the road.
What were your thoughts on changing the onside kick rule?
I just do as I'm told. And, you know, we had a lot of conversation from the special teams unit, you know, coaches, and, you know, anything to help whatever they want to make help better for the league, for the team, for the league. So be it. So we'll adapt and adjust like we always do in special teams.
With a new long snapper, how long does it typically take to get that operation flawless?
That's the great thing about it. You know, they come in OTAs, and now you got 5 weeks of them getting used to it. You know, in the off season, you know, when it gets closer to camp, they get together and they're able to work their own. So that's the beauty of having 3 guys that are NFL pros. They know what their job entails. They know what they got to do to do it. And I know offense and defense going, they're on that separate field and they're working operations. Tyler Brown does a great job with them, you know, in terms of I'm helping out with offense or defense. He takes over there to get them, you know, well synced in. So that's the beauty of, you know, just being professionals, getting the job done.
Are you guys thinking not to have Cooper the Gene return punts? Like, I noticed he hasn't really been back there at all here.
Yeah, you know, you'll see him pop in, pop out. You know, obviously we know he could catch, so that gives these young guys an opportunity to catch some more. But he'll be out there, you know, knock some rust off here and there. I'll have some specific days where, hey, Coop, go and catch a couple, or some like, hey, I need to see these young guys. So it's all planned on when we want to see him catch or not.
You don't expect him to be like every time punt returner like he kind of was last year.
Yeah, and again, once we get closer to the regular season, we'll have a better feel. But as of now, do I feel it? Probably not, but you never know what's going to happen. You know, you never know if he wants to be out there, and if the player wants to be out there, he wants to be out there. But for right now, let me get these young guys, see if they can catch a couple punts out there.
Good.
Thank you.